Everybody, welcome back to Video Esoteric and a continuing series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, and it is the December news roundup. We have gone through a whole calendar year with MiSTer, and we're going to be moving into 2023 very shortly, and I can't wait to see what the next year with MiSTer brings. But it's been one hell of a year, and it's been a great December. But before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe. That notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But right off the top, I'm showing you the PlayStation 1 because it had a really good end of the year. Robert, the core developer, released a new core for the PlayStation, the PSX 2X, and this is basically just pegging the CPU at double speed, and it's getting a lot more frames per second out of certain games that allow an unlocked frame rate. It is spectacular to see him supporting this. Now do keep in mind, if you didn't watch my video last week, this is an unsupported core, means there's no bug reports. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. But do leave me a comment down below as well. I'm curious to see what you guys want me to cover in 2023 as far as MiSTer's concerned. If you want to see more of the process of making things, because Robert was talking about doing some bug hunts on Primal Rage and a few other games, and it's fun to see the progress. Even though the core is 99.9% perfect, there are still little things here and there, and he even released an update as well that's got a lot of different very small quality of life improvements, like emulated the Justifier, the Konami gun, just getting things working and buttoned up a little more. But it's been great to see how far PlayStation 2 has come in 2022, and I'm curious to see what Robert does next year because his cores are great, and I wonder if he's going to be working on something new. Speaking of something new, Track 17 is talking about testing the upcoming Atari Jaguar core by Jotego. This kind of came out of nowhere, and it is one of those systems that people have been talking about on MiSTer for a while now, and there is a very alpha core right now that requires 2 RAM sticks that honestly it's fun to check out from a curiosity standpoint, but it's probably not there yet. But the Jaguar is a fun system in spots. Stuff like Alien vs Predator I think is a reason enough to own original Jaguar hardware, but based on current market rates I wouldn't recommend buying one to play Alien vs Predator because they're like $300 to $400 just for a console bare with a power adapter, not even a controller. I don't know when Jaguar got so expensive, but I wouldn't recommend picking one up. But if we get Jaguar on the MiSTer, that will be incredible from a preservation standpoint for one, and for two, there are some decent games here. Now the Atari Jaguar library, I'm not going to lie to you and say it's filled with a ton of hidden gems, but there's like 3 to 4 games that are really enjoyable, and if you've never played Alien vs Predator, that would be the number one I recommend when and if a core comes out, because it's just pretty much fun. Now, one that I am very excited to see is RCA Victor Co. If you don't know who they are, not the core developer, but the old music company. I love that he used that username, is working on a Taito F3 core. This is one of my favorite arcade boards of all time, but it's also a giant pain in the butt to deal with. The sync rate is very strange, and when I had a board for this, none of my CRT televisions would sync to the thing. I do not know why. It just uses a very strange sync rate, and it usually needs to be adjusted. I had to do it via upscaling, but the idea that we're going to be getting potentially an F3 core on MiSTer is great. This is kind of like when Jotego was doing CPS and CPS2 stuff. It's a board that has cartridges you pop on top, which means that basically it's a console except it's in the arcades, for lack of a better term. But there's so many incredible games on the F3, Elevator Action Returns, Bubble Memories, and of course great shmups. This will be so much fun to have on MiSTer, especially because a multi F3 board is like $1,000 now. They are not cheap devices if you want to get a multi-cart for them. I think it's worth it, but honestly, being able to play it on MiSTer will be worth it for cheaper. And everybody loves cheaper, that's for sure. And speaking of RCA Victor Co., he's also working on a Gradius and Super Locomotive core as well. Now, some of these games are a little bit before my time or not super in my interest zone. I do love Gradius, but honestly, the original game, maybe not my favorite, but it might be your favorite. But there's a lot of love coming to MiSTer on the arcade core side, and of course there's so many different arcade boards that MiSTer can run from a technology standpoint that just need to be made. So seeing stuff like this get done is spectacular, and I can't wait to see what other arcade cores are going to be getting in 2023. Now moving over to the Sega Saturn side, something that you guys will love to watch, there really hasn't been many updates from SRG 320 since the end of November, although analog controller support was added to the core. But the great thing is so many more Saturn games are just running super well. I'm getting a bigger and bigger list of games that I have completed that just seem to be playing like they would on a stock Sega Saturn. Something like Night Striker here just seems to work exactly as I would expect it to, and that is great. And the Saturn library is so deep, and there's so many games probably so many people haven't heard of. I can't wait to see more people get involved in the Sega Saturn in 2023. That is my hope for the core, other than SRG 320 staying safe and completing it, is for more people to discover Sega Saturn. Because obviously for every game like House of the Dead that most people know, there's so many Saturn games that people have never heard of before. Something like In the Hunt, I feel like most people probably haven't played, and it is working almost perfectly on the current core, which is amazing to see. But I can't wait to see what 2023 brings to the Sega Saturn and MiSTer FPGA, because it's one of my favorite consoles of all time, and I can't wait for more people to experience it when it is complete. But let's take a look at something completely different now, going back to Jotego. He has some other games that are coming out of beta soon or starting to work soon. Something like in Sector X here. He has it running, he's got some sound going, but obviously there are some graphical artifacts, large ones in fact. But I love that Jotego kind of shows how the sausage gets made in the background on these cores. But in Sector X is an awesome shmup from Taito, definitely in the cute 'em up genre, and probably one that not many people have heard of before. Leave me a comment down below and tell me if you knew about this game before this video, because I would be curious. But Jotego's always releasing these Friday beta cores to his Patreon followers, and then he's releasing them to the public as well, and that is so much fun. And he also updated the progress on the Capcom CPS 3. He has chip samples, and they're going to go over to Furtech for decapping and imaging, so they can start tracing out those paths. But that's going to be a hard job, because that chip is going to be made on a process which might make it a little hard to scan. But I can't wait to start seeing stuff like 16:9 Street Fighter 3 running on the MiSTer. It's an awesome game, even if I prefer King of Fighters a little bit more, and I can't wait to see it. And Kageki here, I think I'm pronouncing that right, another beta core by Jotego. I will say, I don't understand this game whatsoever, I'm never good at it, but I know a lot of people seem to love it, and the art style is absolutely hilarious and spectacular, and that is something that is running on MiSTer as well. Just another little fun core drop from Jotego, we always have to love that for sure. Now over on the video side of MiSTer, there's been a lot more cores that'll be compatible with S-video and composite video via certain adapters, and if you want to see a video on composite and S-video in 2023, leave me that comment down below. But there is a YC build for MiSTer downloader portion that you can add into an INI file, so you can go ahead and get that. And it is awesome, because I 100% understand not everyone just has a PVM with RGB hanging out or a VGA monitor. Most people probably don't, so having these cores work on more standard video signals for analog is going to be great. Now another game that came out that I was surprised by, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, is Zane de Selena. I think that's how it is pronounced. It's from Technos. It's a fun 2D run and gun game a la Contra, but I will say it is exceedingly difficult. If you take one hit, you get pushed back. But it's fun to see these games that probably less people know about come to MiSTer, because Technos has some great games, so they're definitely not going to be in the same conversation as Sega or Capcom or Taito when it comes to arcade stuff. So incredible to have. Now, people are always asking me, where do you get a MiSTer? They're always back ordered. Everyone I've recommended to go directly to Terasic has gotten a board shipped within at least a week, and recently I've been getting reports of within 48 hours people have a tracking number. So if you don't yet own a MiSTer and you're just watching these videos because you like seeing what's going on and you want to get in on the fun for 2023, just go to Terasic directly. Don't pay resellers or anything like that. You can see if DigiKey or Mauser has one, but honestly, just go direct. But the thing that I'm most excited about in December is a Taito F3 core coming to MiSTer. It's such a fun platform, it has so many great games, and it is quite difficult to deal with in real hardware, so I think this is going to be great for a lot of people. But that is all the news that happened in December 2022, or at least when I cut this video off. I did it on December 21st, because I'm getting ready for my holiday, and I didn't have any more time to wait around to do the edits. But I can't wait to see what's going to happen in 2023, and if there's any videos I have not done yet that you want to see, leave me that comment down below. I'm happy to make them if they sound interesting to me. But yeah, MiSTer had a great 2022, and I bet it's going to have an even better 2023. We'll see you guys next time. Happy New Year. Bye-bye.